If your life feels like it's falling apart, if doors are closing, if the people you counted on have grown silent, and if everything you touch seems to slip from your hands, I must tell you, you are not being destroyed, you are being tested. And more than that, you are being chosen. Chosen for a blessing so great that it demands your full transformation before it can be placed in your hands. But listen closely, truly listen, because there is a difference between hearing these words and letting them rearrange the very structure of your thinking. A man may hear truth 100 times and remain unchanged, but the one who listens, who sits still, who opens his mind, who allows each sentence to strike the core of his being, that man walks away different. And this speech will not serve the man who merely hears. It was written for the man who listens as if his future depends on it, because it does. There are divine laws in motion right now, laws that do not bow to emotion or convenience, laws that reward only the man who endures the fire with faith. And what I am about to reveal to you are the 7 unmistakable signs that God is preparing you for that reward. If you ignore these signs, you may abandon the test before the blessing is delivered. You may misread your preparation as punishment and quit one moment too soon. But if you listen, really listen, you will see your present trial for what it truly is. Not a curse, but a calling. You will gain the ability to hold on while others let go. You will rise where others shrink. You will recognize the rhythm of testing as the prelude to the symphony of success. And when that blessing comes, because it will, you will not be surprised. You will be ready. So I ask you, are you willing to listen, not with ears, but with decision, with desire, with discipline? Because if you are, you may hear something today that changes the entire course of your life, but miss it, and you may remain stuck for another year, another decade, another lifetime. The choice is yours. Listen, and take your place among those who are destined for greatness. Introduction. The furnace of faith. Why every great blessing requires a great test. If life feels harder now than it ever has before, then I must tell you, your blessing is closer than it has ever been. The heat you feel is not destruction, it is refinement. You are being tested, not abandoned. For no man receives greatness until he proves he can endure the weight of preparation without surrender. Do you believe that success comes freely? That riches fall from the heavens into the hands of the indifferent? I tell you plainly, no such thing occurs in this world or the next. Every blessing carries weight, and that weight must be earned, not by luck, not by inheritance, but by passing through fire with faith. The road to greatness is never paved with ease. It is guarded by delay, surrounded by fear, shrouded in darkness, and lined with every temptation to turn back. Why? Because only the man who moves forward through all this is worthy of what lies ahead. Only he is capable of holding the power he desires without losing himself in it. You must understand that the trial is not a trap. It is a gate. It is a furnace through which weak metals melt and pure gold is revealed. The difficulty you face is not in your way. It is the way. God does not test a man to hurt him. He tests him to reveal him. For until you know what you are made of, how can you hold what you are praying for? A blessing too early becomes a burden. That is why the universe delays. That is why infinite intelligence waits. A man cannot build an empire with the spirit of a beggar. He must first become definite in thought, unwavering in aim, and forged in endurance. The test you are under is not punishment. It is transformation. The waiting season, as men call it, is the most sacred classroom on earth. It is where you learn the discipline of stillness. It is where your thoughts must be commanded into order. It is where the lazy are exposed and the faithful are refined. What feels like delay is divine preparation for a life you cannot yet comprehend. Henry Ford did not walk into greatness. He was shaped for it. He was laughed at, doubted, bankrupt, and betrayed. But he refused to drift. He acted on his definite chief aim when all others quit. And when the world caught up to his vision, he was already prepared because the furnace had done its work. Let me tell you this. God will not place a crown upon the head of a man who cannot carry the weight of discipline. He will not fill your hands with riches if your mind is still filled with fear. He will not multiply what you cannot manage. The test is not in the outer world. It is in you. If you cry out for elevation, expect pressure. If you ask for abundance, expect to be made responsible. If you pray for influence, expect your character to be sharpened. For with every spiritual request comes a trial that asks, how badly do you want it? And that trial will demand everything you are. Every successful man you admire was tested before he was trusted. Carnegie, Edison, Rockefeller, they all walked through storms of criticism, scarcity, and solitude before they held power. The world only saw the outcome. But the test, oh, the test, was where the foundation was truly laid. There is a spiritual law that governs this process. No reward without readiness. And readiness is not proclaimed. It is proven. It is revealed when a man holds to his vision in darkness. When he speaks belief while surrounded by silence. When he chooses forward motion though nothing around him moves. Your present pain is not a contradiction of your future promise. It is the confirmation of it. The deeper the pressure, the higher the purpose. The longer the delay, the greater the reward. You are not being destroyed. You are being developed, and the difference lies in what you believe. Do you see now? Every trial is a question. Every delay is a mirror. Every setback is a chisel. The hand of God is not absent. It is actively shaping you. You cannot hold greatness with a fragile grip. You cannot pour wisdom into a cracked vessel. That is why this furnace exists. And the longer you resist the test, the longer the delay. The blessing cannot be forced. It can only be earned. So submit your fear to faith. Submit your complaint to decision. Submit your excuses to purpose. This is the only way to rise, for every success must be built upon inner victory. Do not envy the man who rose easily. His fall will come just as fast. Envy the man who endured, who was tried, who held to faith when all things failed. That man is unshakable. That man has power. That man is who you are becoming if you choose to endure the fire. This is why I tell you, again and again, you must have a definite chief aim. Without it, you will wander in this season of testing and call it suffering. But with it, you will understand the pressure as divine. You will see the heat as a sign that your gold is near the surface. Speak these words aloud with me now. I am not being punished. I am being prepared. Every trial is a sign that I am worthy of greatness. I endure the fire. I welcome the furnace. I pass the test. And remember this, God does not bless your comfort. He blesses your capacity. And that capacity is being formed in this very moment, if you will let it. Sign number 1, you are being stripped of all comfort. When God begins preparing a man for greatness, the first thing he removes is comfort. Not because comfort is evil, but because it makes a man soft. A man wrapped in ease never discovers the edge of his own potential, so God takes what you lean on. He removes what you cling to. He shakes the ground beneath you so you will rise and build on rock, not sand. The first test is always subtraction, and it comes when you are most unaware. One day you awaken to find that what once felt certain is now uncertain. The job disappears. The bank account dries up. The relationships dissolve. The plans that once gave you peace suddenly collapse, and you are left standing in a silence that demands an answer from within. This moment is not a curse. It is a sign. You are being stripped not for punishment, but for power. You are being pruned so that you may grow. For no man can carry out a definite purpose while still entangled in the cushions of mediocrity. And nothing reveals the fire of purpose faster than the sting of discomfort. You may say, why is this happening to me? And I tell you, it is happening for you. You have asked for growth. This is the answer. You have asked for greatness. This is the preparation. You have asked for abundance. This is the awakening. For only when a man is forced to stand alone does he discover whether his foundation is faith or fantasy. Abraham Lincoln was not born in a mansion. He was born in a log cabin. No silver spoon, no applause, no shortcut. His early life was loss upon loss, death, poverty, and defeat. But from that furnace emerged a man who could carry the burden of a nation. His pain was not a disqualification, it was proof of preparation. And so I ask you, what are you reaching for in the dark? Are you trying to rebuild your comfort, or are you ready to build your character? Are you mourning what was lost, or have you begun preparing for what must be gained? Because this season will not last forever, but how you move in it will define the man you become. This is the secret most never grasp. Desire is not born in luxury. It is born in lack. It is born in that sacred moment where the world says no, and your soul shouts yes with nothing to back it but belief. If you wait for comfort to commit, you will wait forever. But if you choose faith in the storm, you will emerge as a man no storm can touch. The 6 ghosts of fear will visit you in this hour. Poverty will whisper lies. Criticism will call you foolish. Ill health will sap your strength. But I say again, stand firm. This is the proving ground. This is the gate to power. This is the place where you declare yourself not a victim of life, but a master of thought. You will never discover what you're truly made of until the world has taken its hands off you. For as long as you depend on man's approval or the world's comfort or your current conditions, you will never be free. The man who commands wealth is not the man who was handed ease. It is the man who stood up when there was no reason left to stand. Comfort dulls the vision, but discomfort clarifies it. It reveals what matters. It calls the voice of purpose out of the pit, and it awakens a burning desire not for escape, but for elevation. For the man who walks through discomfort without breaking, without drifting, without losing faith, that man is being watched. That man is being prepared. The hour has come for decision. Will you sit in the ashes and wait for someone to rescue you? Or will you rise, not with excuses, but with purpose? Will you beg for comfort to return, or will you thank God for the fire that made you focus? Because the man you become now will be the man entrusted with the next level of life. I have seen this pattern unfold in every great success. The stripping comes before the strengthening. The silence comes before the voice. The discomfort comes before the breakthrough. It is law. It is order, and it does not fail. But only the man with eyes to see and faith to act will recognize the blessing hidden in the blow. So welcome the loss, not with despair, but with determination. Welcome the silence, not with fear, but with faith. Welcome the test, not with doubt, but with discipline. Because what has been taken from you is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the removal of the unnecessary so that the essential can rise. And you, my friend, are essential to a purpose greater than what you've yet seen. But you must walk through this stage with boldness, with decision, with clarity. Say aloud with me now, I do not fear the loss of comfort. I welcome discomfort as proof of my coming power. I am being refined. I am being rebuilt. I am being readied. This is how a new foundation is laid, not with bricks of ease, but with the stone of endurance. Comfort will return, yes, but it will return under your command, and you will never again serve it. You will make it serve you. Sign number 2, delays multiply, yet your vision won't let you quit. What do you do when it takes twice as long as you thought? What do you do when the doors remain shut, the progress halts, and the world offers only silence in return for your labor? If your first instinct is to doubt, then you have not yet understood the purpose of delay. Delay is not denial. It is the sifting ground where desire is tested and refined. When God intends to bless a man greatly, he does not answer quickly. He waits, he observes, he listens not to your words, but to your will. Will you stay the course? Will you speak faith even when time mocks you? Will you hold fast when nothing moves? This is not cruelty. This is confirmation. You are being proven, not punished. Delay is heaven's question. Do you still want it? Not with comfort, not with applause, not with external support, but with fire in the belly and steel in the spine. The man who quits in the delay proves he never believed in the vision. But the man who holds fast while the hours stretch, while the answers stall, he is the man being prepared. There is a kind of spiritual defiance you must develop, a holy refusal to let go of what you saw in the vision, even when your circumstances contradict it. This is the power of autosuggestion, to stand before the mirror, look into your own eyes and declare, I will not quit. I will not retreat. I will not abandon my purpose. You see, infinite intelligence does not answer doubt. It answers faith. And faith is proven only by repetition of thought, of belief, of action, despite delay. If you only believe when it's easy, your faith is shallow. But when the days turn to months, and the months to years, and your belief still burns, then the universe must respond. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times in his pursuit of the electric light, but he refused to accept the word failure. He called each delay a lesson, each defeat an instruction. And it was because he persisted through the rhythm of delay that he earned the right to illuminate the world. That is not accident. That is law. The law of hypnotic rhythm states that thoughts repeated often enough become fixed patterns. If your reaction to delay is discouragement, that will become your habit. But if your response is faith, then faith becomes your rhythm. And a man whose rhythm is faith cannot be stopped. Not by time, not by man, not by adversity. This is where most abandon their aim. They mistake divine timing for denial. They compare their speed to others and grow weary. But the blessing does not come when you want it. It comes when you are ready. And readiness is measured not in months, but in mastery of your emotions, your thoughts, your persistence. Every great achievement you admire was delayed, not to taunt the man pursuing it, but to temper him, to strengthen his focus, to develop his identity. For when the vision comes to pass, it must rest in the hands of a man who has outlasted time, not one who was flattered into action, but one who refused to stop when no one believed. The delay will tempt you to settle. It will whisper, take something easier. It will offer you imitation blessings, half-built, incomplete, small enough to satisfy the weak. But you must respond with decision. You must say, I did not start this to quit. I did not receive this vision to abandon it halfway. I am the man who finishes. This is the difference between the dreamer and the doer. The dreamer complains about delay. The doer converts it into discipline. The dreamer says, maybe it wasn't meant to be. The doer says, it's not finished yet, because I'm not finished yet. Delay is only deadly to those who never truly desired what they claimed to pursue. And here is a great secret. When delay appears, speak faster. When progress halts, plan harder. When time resists you, outwork time. Do not match the rhythm of stagnation. Override it. Push through. Because eventually the gate will open, not for the man who waited, but for the man who kept walking anyway. There is a law in nature. No seed breaks the earth on the day it is planted. It is buried. It is hidden. It is delayed. But below the surface, where no man sees, a miracle is forming. And one day it breaks through, not because the earth gave way, but because the seed refused to stop growing. You are that seed, and this delay is not a grave, it is a womb. The birth of your greatness is near, but it cannot be rushed. It cannot be tampered with, and it must not be abandoned. For the moment you walk away is often the moment the roots were just about to break free. Let these words be etched in your spirit. I am the type of man who finishes what he begins. I outlast time through faith. My delay is not death. It is development. I will not quit. Speak them aloud. Write them down. Repeat them daily. Because what you say during delay becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you attract. No man climbs the mountain who cannot wait for the storm to pass. No man inherits power without first mastering the test of time. The blessing will not be early, but it will be exact. It will arrive the moment your character is large enough to receive it. And if it has not come yet, it only means that you are not done yet. So do not curse the delay. Use it. And one day you will look back and say, I am who I am because I did not quit when everything told me to. Sign number 3, you are surrounded by doubters and criticism. If you find yourself surrounded by doubters, critics, and small minds who cannot see your vision, do not despair. Rejoice. It means you are walking a path too large for the average man to comprehend. God will not elevate you without first teaching you to walk alone among those who misunderstand you, and even among those who mock you. The test of criticism is one of the fiercest. It does not strike the body. It strikes the mind. It whispers, what if they're right? It tempts you to shrink, to soften your words, to dim your light. But make no mistake. Criticism is the fire in which belief is purified. For only the man who has faced mockery and stayed the course is worthy of the crown. You must understand this law. The man who cannot withstand doubt from others is still ruled by doubt within. Critics are merely the reflection of your own subconscious hesitation, and God will allow their voices to echo until you decide to silence them by action, not argument. Do you think Andrew Carnegie was celebrated in the beginning? He was mocked as a naive idealist. When he placed his faith in a young man with no fortune, they called him a fool. But that belief gave birth to principles that would transform the world. He was not deceived. He was certain. And certainty offends those who live in hesitation. You will be called arrogant. You will be called crazy. You will be called unrealistic. And these are the highest compliments a drifting world can give to a man of vision. For when the crowd does not recognize your aim, it means your aim comes from a higher source. It means you have not conformed to smallness. Doubt is a universal language among the unsuccessful. They use it to protect themselves from the responsibility of belief. For if they can pull you down with their words, they no longer have to rise by their actions. But I warn you, never fight with critics. Rise beyond them. Prove them wrong by your result, not your rebuttal. Faith must not require validation. If it does, it is not faith. It is approval seeking. The man who is moved by public opinion will never build anything the public will one day admire, because greatness is always ridiculed before it is respected. That is the law. That is the pattern. And you must obey it with joy. There is no success without misunderstanding. There is no vision without rejection. There is no elevation without separation. You cannot bring everyone with you, and you were never meant to. Some were placed in your life to be the resistance you must push through, not the wind beneath your wings. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Accurate thinking requires you to separate fact from opinion. And criticism is almost always opinion, shaped by fear, by jealousy, or by limitation. If a man has not walked your path, he has no authority to define it. If he has not carried your burden, he cannot measure your calling. Criticism does not define your worth. It reveals theirs. It shows how small a man must think to attack what he does not understand. But if you internalize that smallness, you will begin to shrink. You will begin to second guess. You will begin to apologize for the very dream God placed in your spirit. And that is the danger, not their words, but your reaction to them. The man who allows himself to be swayed by every sneer will never hold dominion. The man who changes course with every opinion will never build a straight road. You must fix your gaze. You must harden your decision. You must move regardless. Repeat after me now. I hear the voices of doubt, and still I press forward. My faith is louder than the world's fear. My aim is clear. My vision is divine. I do not seek their approval. I follow my purpose. There is more power in one man with a definite chief aim than in 1,000 critics with none. And the irony is that one day, those same critics will marvel at what you've built. But only if you endure, only if you do not fold beneath their ridicule, only if you prove your faith with action, not once, but repeatedly. Let them talk, let them mock, let them dismiss. Every word they speak is building the platform on which you will one day stand. Every insult is a rung in the ladder, every laugh is fuel for the fire. For the man who refuses to bow to the crowd is the man the crowd one day rises to applaud. Remember, God uses enemies to build warriors. He allows criticism to strengthen your certainty. He permits ridicule so that your faith will no longer be weak. This is not an accident. This is training. And the faster you embrace it, the faster you rise through it. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become undeniable. And you will become undeniable the moment your actions speak so loudly that your critics must fall silent, not because they changed, but because you did. Speak it again. My faith is louder than the world's fear. I press forward. I am unmoved by small minds. I follow the voice within. You will be tested by doubt, but you will pass. You will be refined by ridicule, but you will rise. And when you stand in the light of your achievement, you will know, I earned this not because they believed, but because I did. Sign number 4, everything you try seems to fail. Failure is never the end. It is a summons, a divine interruption, a trumpet blast from infinite intelligence declaring, rise again, this time wiser. If everything you attempt appears to fall apart, it is not because you are forsaken. It is because you are being fashioned into someone strong enough to succeed permanently, not briefly, not accidentally, but eternally. Most men believe that success is the absence of failure. That is an illusion. Success is born through failure, mastered failure, understood failure, applied failure. Every defeat contains a message, a mirror, and a map. But only the man who listens, looks, and learns receives the gift wrapped inside the rejection. The man who cannot bear defeat is not yet qualified to bear success, for success comes with weight, responsibility, temptation, pressure. And if you have not been trained in difficulty, you will not hold up under prosperity. This is why you must not curse your failures. You must study them. Each one is a lesson carved in fire. Charles M. Schwab was told by experts that steel had reached its peak, that it was too unstable, too old, too costly. He was told to quit, to pivot, to abandon his vision. But Schwab saw opportunity in the ashes. He endured industrial setbacks, public criticism, and economic crashes. And still, he built Bethlehem Steel. His failures were not final. They were refining. They revealed to him what the textbooks could not teach. They prepared him for decisions that only a battle-tested man could make. Had he folded under the first storm, history would have forgotten him. But he persisted, and the world remembers. Failure is not a closed door. It is a corridor. It is the hallway between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you turn back in that hallway, you will never know the man waiting at the other end. That man, the one who emerges with vision, with resolve, with power, he is being forged right now. When everything breaks, look again. Look at your plan. Not your purpose, but your plan. Organized planning requires adjustment. If one route fails, form another. If one bridge collapses, build another. The man of decision does not retreat from failure. He replans, and he does it swiftly, without complaint. Too many men make the mistake of marrying their method. They confuse the map with the destination. But your goal is sacred. Your method is temporary. Change your method. change your structure, but never, never change your mind about your definite chief aim. Each failed attempt contains knowledge, not just of what to avoid, but of how you respond. Do you react with defeat or with direction? Do you shrink or sharpen? The man who succeeds studies his failures like blueprints. He dissects them until they yield their gold. He turns trial into treasure. You may have tried 10 things, try 20. You may have built and watched it fall. Build again. You may have bet all you had and seen no return. Bet again. Because the blessing does not come when things go right. It comes when you become right, when you're no longer shaken by a result, but grounded in resolve. Listen to me now. I am never defeated. I am being shown the way by trial. I shall persist until I win. Speak it, believe it, write it, engrave it. Because if you keep showing up, keep studying, keep adapting, you will eventually create something that cannot fail, because it will be built on tested stone. You are being trained in mental alchemy, the transmutation of disappointment into determination. This is no small thing. Most men collapse after one blow, but not you. You are called to rise again and again, until the wind bows to your will, until the obstacles retreat, until your destiny makes room for your feet. This is how the universe separates the interested from the committed. This is how infinite intelligence asks. Do you truly desire this, or did you only wish for it when it was easy? If your answer is yes, then prove it. Rise, revise, persist. Let the world say you failed. You know better. You were not defeated. You were refined. You were instructed. And you will return to the battlefield armed with wisdom they cannot see and strength they will never understand. Because while they quit, you built character. Repeat after me once more. I am never defeated. I study my setbacks. I reforge my plan. I shall persist until I win. And mark my words. When you stand at the summit, when the plan finally yields fruit, when the vision becomes tangible, you will not thank ease. You will thank every failure that sharpened your mind, tested your faith, and forged your spirit. The blessing belongs to those who are willing to build again with ashes in their hands. And you, my friend, are building not for applause, but for purpose, not for speed, but for permanence, not for today, but for eternity. Sign number 5. You feel completely alone on the journey. There will come a time, if it has not come already, when you feel utterly alone. The calls stop, the doors close, the encouragement disappears. And you look around and wonder, has everyone forgotten me? But this too is a sign, not of abandonment, but of assignment. The assignment to walk the valley that precedes the mountaintop. God does not elevate a man who is addicted to applause. He first separates him, not to harm, but to prepare. Before public favor comes private fire. Before the crown, the cave. Before power, solitude. And if you are walking that lonely road, understand, you are not being cast aside. You are being called up. The man who must be praised to keep moving will never lead. The man who must be surrounded to stay focused is still immature in purpose. But the man who can endure the silence of the season without complaint, that man is being formed into someone unshakable, someone who can be trusted to lead. Rockefeller began not with riches, but with silence. He walked miles to his first job, worked long hours in obscurity, received no recognition, yet his heart remained certain. His purpose stayed fixed. And through those quiet years, a titan was formed, not in front of the crowd, but behind the curtain. Solitude is not a punishment. It is the proving ground for self-mastery. When no one is watching, what do you think? What do you speak? What do you believe? Do you hold fast to your definite chief aim, or do you waver because no one affirms you? This is the measure of your maturity. This is the test that cannot be skipped. For no man can lead others until he has first mastered himself. And self-mastery is not achieved in noise. It is born in silence, when the room is empty, when the rewards are unseen, when only your Creator hears your commitment. That is where strength is built. That is where power is birthed. The mastermind principle cannot function in chaos. Before you can form alliances that multiply power, you must learn to stand without alliance, to think without echo, to act without confirmation. Then, and only then, will your magnetism attract the right partners and repel the wrong ones. The world is filled with men who crave company, but not clarity. They surround themselves with distractions to avoid the mirror of their own soul. But the man who rises listens to the silence. He walks through it. He studies it. He finds in it the voice of infinite intelligence, and he obeys. You may say, "But I feel forgotten." I tell you, you are not forgotten. You are being observed. The eyes of heaven are upon you, not to judge, but to see if you will fold or if you will forge, if you will drift or decide, if you will run or rise, and every day you persist, that invisible applause grows stronger. The loneliness is a crucible. In it, you must learn to be your own fire, your own voice, your own belief system. Not because you will always walk alone, but because the man who must walk with others is not yet ready to lead others. You are being raised to a place of leadership, and leadership begins in solitude. Say this aloud with me now. Though I walk alone, I am never forsaken. My power is built in solitude. I hear the voice within, and I obey it. Your thoughts must be disciplined. Your focus must be deliberate. You must learn to entertain no enemy in your mind, even when no friend sits beside you. For the man who becomes strong in isolation is the man who walks into rooms full of people and does not bow to their opinion. Solitude teaches you to hear your own inner voice, and that voice, when aligned with purpose, becomes the compass that no storm can shake. The crowd may waver, the world may doubt, but the man with internal conviction becomes immovable, and that is who you are becoming now. You are not waiting for support, you are becoming support. You are not seeking validation, you are living from vision. And when the season shifts, and it will shift, you will rise, not as one who stumbled upon success, but as one who was sculpted for it in the secret place. Embrace the silence, use it, multiply your learning, sharpen your thoughts, record your purpose, build your inner sanctuary so that no external storm can dismantle you. And when the day comes that your name is known, you will stand as one who deserves the power you have earned. Repeat it one final time. Though I walk alone, I am never forsaken. I am being prepared in solitude. I shall emerge unstoppable. Let this season complete its work. Let it mold you. Let it mature you. Because when you pass this test, when you no longer fear the silence, you will walk into your calling with authority. And no man will take from you what God has planted in secret. Sign number 6, you are forced to confront your deepest fear. There is one moment in every man's ascent when he must come face to face with the very fear that has ruled his life in secret. It may come through a sudden loss, a brutal disappointment, a sickness of the soul, but it will come. Not to destroy him, but to liberate him. For a man cannot rise until he has conquered what once made him kneel. This is the 6th sign, the most sacred of all. You will know it by the tremble in your gut, the tightening in your chest, the paralyzing whisper that says, "This is too much." That whisper is not your conscience. It is the final ghost of fear, clinging for dear life before it is cast out by decision, discipline, and divine power. The 6 ghosts of fear, poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death, do not announce themselves with thunder. They creep in through thought, through imagination left unchecked, through the subconscious left undisciplined. And so your greatest battles are not outside, they are within. To defeat fear, you must name it. You must no longer pretend it is simply stress or confusion. It is fear. And fear must be dragged into the light. Once seen for what it is, a liar, a parasite, a distortion, It loses its grip. It shrinks under the weight of spiritual truth and definite purpose. Woodrow Wilson faced public scorn. His health failed him. His political enemies sought his destruction. And yet, even in his physical weakness, his mind refused to bend. He knew that purpose is not for the perfect, but for the persistent. He stared death in the face and remained governed by vision, not fear. Fear can only rule the man who believes it. That is the secret. It has no power on its own. It must be invited, it must be accepted, and it must be fed with repeated thoughts of failure, doubt, and helplessness. If you withdraw that attention, fear begins to starve. If you replace it with faith, fear begins to flee. This is where the power of autosuggestion becomes a weapon. You must not speak as your fear would have you speak. You must not think as it would have you think. You must take command of your inner speech and declare aloud, I am not afraid. I am advancing. I am obeying a power far greater than fear. Do not expect fear to leave you gently. It will rage as it dies. It will offer you compromise. It will tempt you to settle, to retreat, to return to comfort. But you must respond with decision. A decision that says, I would rather die walking forward than live crawling backward. You were not given a spirit of fear. You were given power, love, and a sound mind. That is law. That is truth. And you must use that truth as a sword, cutting down every whisper that says, you can't, you won't, you're not enough. Those words are not yours. They are the devil's. Return them to him, unopened. The law of cosmic habit force demands that what you repeat becomes who you are. If you repeat fear, you will live it. If you repeat faith, you will become it. There is no middle ground. You must choose moment by moment who you will obey, the lie of fear or the law of purpose. You are not alone in this battle. Every man you admire fought it, some in public, some in silence. But all were asked the same question by life. Will you bow or will you break free? And those who answered with courage were given the keys to kingdoms their fears tried to keep from them. Let this day be the one you remember. The day you looked fear in the eye and said, you've had your turn, now it's mine. Let it be the day you crossed the invisible threshold between potential and power. The day you finally stopped running and turned to face the ghost. Say this aloud now. Fear is not real. It is a liar I outgrow by faith, decision, and action. I do not bow. I do not retreat. I move forward. Each time you speak this, something within you strengthens, something ancient and eternal. The part of you that was never meant to be ruled by fear, but to master it. And once you have done so, the path ahead will open, not because the fear is gone, but because you are now greater than it. Do not ask to be free from fear. Ask to become so strong that fear no longer moves you. That is the true victory. That is the sign that the blessing is near. For no man is trusted with greatness who still trembles at shadows, but the man who has defeated his demons becomes a king in his own spirit. You have arrived at that moment. And now it is yours to decide. Step back into safety or step forward into power. You already know what I believe you will choose, because the voice within you is no longer the voice of fear. It is the voice of faith becoming flesh. Sign number 7. You are asked to surrender everything except faith. There is a moment on the path to destiny where every external crutch is taken from you. The support vanishes. The resources dry up. The people disappear. The plans fall apart, and you are left with nothing except belief. This is not an accident. This is the final test, the test of surrendered faith. God will reduce you to your foundation to show you what you've truly built your life upon. If your strength was in money, he will allow poverty. If your identity was in applause, he will allow rejection. If your trust was in people, he will allow isolation. Not to destroy you, but to free you from false gods. You prayed to be used. You cried out for greatness. You asked for a life of purpose and power, And now you are being answered. For God cannot place a crown upon a man whose loyalty is still divided. You cannot serve fear and faith. You cannot cling to safety while praying for strength. You must surrender, not to defeat, but to destiny, not to weakness, but to wisdom. Surrender is not the collapse of the weak. It is the decision of the strong. It is the moment a man lays down his illusions and stands upon spiritual truth alone. If all is taken, still I believe. That is the cry of the blessed. When I wrote Think and Grow Rich, I was not a wealthy man. I was not a celebrated teacher. I had no audience to please. I had only faith. I obeyed an invisible command. I wrote what I believed would one day free millions. And though I did not know how it would reach them, I knew that it would. That is surrender. To act without guarantee. To believe without evidence. To obey without applause. And every man who has walked the path of greatness has passed through this very place. The place where he said, "Though I have nothing, I still believe." That is the man who receives the blessing. You may be standing at the edge of all you once trusted. Everything familiar is gone. Everything certain is shaken. But I tell you, this is holy ground. For it is here, and only here, that your belief is no longer borrowed. It is forged, it is owned, it is yours, and no man can take it. This is not the loss of all, it is the removal of noise. It is the invitation to walk not by sight, but by faith. And faith, when all else is gone, becomes a force so unstoppable that it draws provision from places you never imagined. You do not need proof, you need persistence. Let the storm come. Let the winds rise. You will not be moved, not because you see the outcome, but because you trust the outcome, because you know that a man standing on spiritual law cannot be buried by circumstance. He may fall, yes, but he rises with fire. Your definite chief aim still lives, even if the house falls, even if the support vanishes, even if the world says, "You lost." You have not lost. You have been refined. And what you are building now is not paper wealth. It is power. It is spiritual steel, and it is unshakable. Speak with me aloud now. Even if all is taken from me, I will not lose belief. For faith is the key that unlocks my riches. My supply is infinite. My trust is unbreakable. This is how a man becomes untouchable. Not by hoarding goods, but by mastering trust. Not by clinging to what he sees, but by obeying what he knows. This surrender is not weakness. It is alignment with infinite intelligence. No plan survives without this level of trust, for all plans are tested, all paths are stormed. But the man who walks forward with eyes on the invisible, the man who obeys when nothing in the world affirms him, that man has become what no enemy can defeat. Do not ask to understand everything. Ask to obey without understanding. That is faith. That is the mind that moves mountains. That is the man whom God blesses, not in comfort, but in courage, not in safety, but in surrender. Repeat it again. Even if all is taken from me, I will not lose belief. I trust the law. I follow the voice. My blessing is near. You will look back on this hour not as the end, but as the beginning. The hour your faith became real, the hour your strength was not borrowed, but born. And when the blessing comes, and it will, you will not be surprised. You will be ready. Final chapter. The man God blesses cannot be broken. If you are being tested, you are being trusted. This is the truth. The greater the pressure, the greater the purpose. The longer the silence, the louder the future call. The weight you now carry is not punishment. It is preparation. And when the hour comes, all of it will make sense. But only to the man who endured. Look back now. Look at the road you've walked, the comfort that was stripped, the delays that stretched endlessly, the critics that shouted, the failures that repeated, the solitude that surrounded you, the fears that haunted you, the surrender that emptied you. And still you are here. Still you believe. You did not drift. You did not fold. You did not retreat. You stood, And by standing you proved yourself, not to man, but to the divine. For God does not bless the strongest. He blesses the most faithful. He does not reward the loudest. He rewards the most obedient. And you have obeyed. Each sign you faced was not random. It was intentional. Each sign you passed was a seal. And now you have walked through fire and emerged as gold. You are no longer the man you once were. That man depended on circumstances. This man commands them. That man feared storms. This man rides them. There are men who break under testing, and there are men who are broken open. Broken open so that the old may be burned away and the new may arise. You have not been destroyed. You have been uncovered. The weakness has been peeled away, the doubt burned out. What remains now is true. And the man who remains, he is not soft, he is not lost, he is not shaken, he is ready, ready to receive, ready to carry, ready to multiply what is entrusted to him. For the man who has passed the test has become the vessel for the very thing he once pursued in desperation. So now the choice stands before you. Will you return to the comfort of average, or will you rise into the life you were called to? Will you carry this power forward, or bury it in silence? Because the blessing is no longer distant, it is knocking. And only a man of decision will open the door. You are not who you were. You cannot return to drifting. You cannot retreat to weakness. The old man is gone. The test has changed you. And now the habits must change. The schedule must change. The thoughts must change. For your results can only rise as high as your identity. Take a pen. Write your definite chief aim. Put it on your wall. Put it on your mirror. Speak it aloud morning and night. Burn it into your mind until no fear can erase it. And then act. Act every day. Even small actions are proof to the universe that you mean what you say. Declare this aloud with me now. I am the man God is preparing for greatness. I welcome the test. I do not drift. I do not fear. I persist. I obey the voice within. I shall be victorious. Do not merely repeat this. Live it. Let it enter your bloodstream. Let it shape your posture. Let it govern your decisions. Because this is how the future is built. Not with luck, not with chance, but with faith, decision, and persistent, definite action. The law of cosmic habit force is now on your side. Each thought you repeat, each action you take, forms the pattern of the man you are becoming. And that pattern will attract what you are prepared to hold. No more, no less. You are writing your future in every thought you allow. And if you ever forget who you are, return to this truth. You are the man who walked through fire. You are the man who faced delay and did not quit. You are the man who stood alone and kept believing. You are the man who stared fear in the face and acted anyway. You are the man who let go of everything and still held on to faith. So I ask you, not with doubt, but with power, how badly do you want it? Because now you are ready to receive it. Go, speak, act, building lead, bless. For the test is finished, and the man who remains cannot be broken.